With every passing day we inch closer and closer to the imminent release of Animal Crossing New Horizons, a game that very well might just change the entire course of the franchise moving forward. But recently I asked myself a question: why do I love this franchise so much, and what makes it so great? If you're here to hear an in-depth critical analysis of the franchise and a dissection of it, you're bang out of luck. But if you want to see me get a little more critical of the franchise, I'll probably leave a link to my New Leaf review somewhere here or at the end of the video, so feel free to check that out if you want to see a little more in-depth analysis and dissection of said franchise, I guess. The main thing is atmosphere. You can pick up pretty much any Animal Crossing game and expect a certain atmosphere, and that's not a bad thing. The atmosphere is always a chill one, a one of kindness and positivity, even in population growing and to an extent Wild World, where rude and mean villagers were a thing. You could take solace in the fact that you didn't really need to interact with any of them, and you could just kick back and, you know, take a couple of hours to just do your daily tasks or whatever. If you were the social type and enjoyed talking to your villagers, you'd have a great time getting to know each and every one of the villagers in your town, running errands for them and befriending them. The development of town life is also a great big factor for many. The process of gathering and discovering valuable stuff in order to sell it, in order to have enough bells to pay off your mortgage, is a fun and rewarding experience, especially for new players. This is all fine, but it's a very surface level understanding of what the franchise is and what it stands for, and that would be a form of natural progression and world building in a way, I guess. What about your personal experiences? Well, I decided to ask a couple of questions on Facebook in a group that I'm in, that's obviously an Animal Crossing based group, and I'm going to be sharing some of your guys' viewers' experiences. So if you're a new viewer or a new subscriber who's coming from that group, hi, I hope you enjoyed the video. Sorry if yours didn't make it into the video. I didn't want to drag it on more than it had to be kind of dragged on. This is going to be a little bit of a more unscripted segment of this video, but yeah, I kind of felt I should have more of a raw, take and more of a raw, kind of feedback and emotions while reading these to you guys. And yeah, let's just get stuck in and get on to the first one, I guess. This first one's by Betty, and it says, during high school I would come home and play Wild World on my desktop back when I had Windows XP. I loved it because I could talk to friends in a world where I didn't really have to do anything I didn't want to, minus a task for friends that I would do because I cared about them. It got me through some tough times alone when I couldn't really see my friends and had a bad home life, and this is personally something that's quite touching to me, and honestly it's something I can kind of relate to in a way, because usually, I'll get more into it later, but usually a lot of people have talked about Animal Crossing, and obviously again I can relate to this. They did have maybe a bad home life or had social issues, and this is just one of those things that where a lot of people were echoing similar things, saying that they had bad home lives or had problems with anxiety like I do, or depression and stuff like that. And it really helped them kind of get through it, and maybe more of as a crutch rather than a coping mechanism, which is something that I feel Animal Crossing does better than any other franchise. So yeah, usually when I am down I do like to kind of play, Animal Crossing kind of to get my head in check, and in a non-risky way, because I have kind of risky methods of doing that, or have had risky methods of kind of trying to get my head in check in the past by just doing a bunch of wild shit. But yeah, I can always take solace in the fact that Animal Crossing is something I can kind of jump into no matter what mood I'm in, especially if I'm down, and it can just kind of lift my spirits, even if it's just slightly. This next one's from a good friend of mine who's also in the group, called Fabian. It says, it helps me with my mental health. When I'm having a panic attack, I either resort to playing some, or I put on some rain music, and it helps me a whole bunch. Besides that, I really enjoyed the franchise and the fandom. It's been the nicest one I've been in yet, but that's probably just because it's 90% furries in here, lol. Obviously that last bit's just, a bit of a, kind of said in jest and a bit of a joke, kind of a running joke, where all Animal Crossing fans are furries, but it's, again, echoing what a lot of people said in the group, and what a lot of people have told me in person, and just, outside of the groups and outside of, YouTube and, stuff like that, where they've just kind of said, yeah, mental health was a huge thing. I've seen a couple of videos on YouTube as well, where a lot of people are talking about having horrible mental health, and Animal Crossing kind of being a crutch for them, kind of being there for them. And Fabienne was actually the one who, she uploaded a post at some point, and or put up a post or whatever, but basically talking about how like the rainy day like kind of compilations of like Animal Crossing music really helped to calm down. It helped insomnia and anxiety and stuff like that, and panic attacks. And I can really relate to that because a big factor in why Animal Crossing is so great is the music, and I feel like the fact that it does help so many people with that kind of thing, just like the music on it, so not just like the positive setting and like the gameplay and everything, just the music on its own is very helpful for a lot of people, and I can really relate to that. And yeah, again, another testament to why the franchise is so great, I guess. This next comment is by a very good friend of mine called Mr. Saturn420. I'll leave some of his, I'll link to some of his art pages or whatever below. He's a real good artist. You really should check him out. But basically, he'd said, I've been playing since the GameCube version when I was 11, and it has given me more hours of entertainment and wholesome fun than any other game. Some versions I did play at super tough points in my life, and they always made me feel good. Like I could have played any game when I felt like shit, but Animal Crossing was the only one that helped me because I didn't have to do anything. I could just walk around, dress up, pick fruit, relax. It's very nostalgic and it means a lot to me. And yeah, that just kind of speaks for itself. It's just going back to what I was saying in the more scripted parts of the video, where it's just kind of the structure of how Animal Crossing is kind of set out, and how everything kind of works in Animal Crossing, and how it just kind of like all adds together to create a very relaxing, chill and wholesome experience for anyone and everyone. It doesn't really matter what age you are, what like background you come from, you know, whatever your thing is, really. It just kind of like, you kind of accommodate for, you know, your tastes, how you may feel at a certain point in time, and just really help you kind of like, just kind of lift your spirits, make you feel good, and you know, whatever else. Okay, so this next one I'm going to read and the one after are quite heavy, and I chose these because it kind of does help hammer home my point for some of you who might not understand where I'm coming from and might not understand the point of this video. And they also just touched me like a lot. I kind of like choked up while reading these when they were posted or whatever, or like when these people commented initially. But yeah, I'll just share them with you guys, and hopefully you guys can understand where these people are coming from and can kind of, you know, relate or whatever, I guess. So this person's called Katrina, and she says, when I was in elementary school, I was bullied to the point I had suicidal intentions starting at the age of 6. But what would keep me going and help me get through the day was knowing that as soon as I got home, without fail, my parents and I would play on the GameCube, and Animal Crossing was one of the games we would play. Animal Crossing became very special and dear to me because of my parents, and obviously I had trouble reading that because I do slightly relate with it, and it just kind of is quite an emotional subject for me. Obviously for a lot of people it is kind of hard to wrap your head around, especially because like it's a weird game about anthropomorphic animals who like just talk random nonsense and talk in like weird gibberish that is somehow translated into English that you can understand, or whatever language you speak, I guess. But and it's like it's a very weird concept for the game, but the fact that a game like this could like touch someone in this way and could kind of help them get through possibly like very bad times, or like a situation much like what Katrina was going through, it can be really jarring for someone, and some people just don't understand it and would kind of make fun of that concept. But if you've ever had something like this for maybe Animal Crossing, like these people have, or any other game or movie or TV show or whatever, you can kind of understand where this person's coming from. And those of you who haven't, again, it is quite hard to wrap your head around, but I hope you can empathise with these stories and kind of understand why Animal Crossing understand why or how Animal Crossing helped myself and these people kind of get through very tough times, and why we have such an undying love for the franchise. Alright, so this next one was quite heavy for me. It's a bit of a lengthy one, but it's by a friend of mine called Louise. He's usually quite very, you know, upbeat and very, you know, very positive. He has a very positive outlook on life. So it's quite jarring for me to read this, just to kind of give you an idea of what he's like. Like I said, he is quite, you know, upbeat. So the fact that he kind of commented something like this it was quite jarring for me, and it did quite, it shocked me a fair bit. Especially because I've known him for a while. Obviously we all have our ups and downs, but this was quite a big jump from what his usual kind of demeanour is like. So yeah, basically Louise had said, I think I just love talking with the villagers, and the idea I make myself each one of them because of the way they act the first day I meet them, and what they wear and what they use as furniture. I think he's kind of trying to say the way he kind of like the personality and the traits he kind of projects onto the villagers because of what they do in their day-to-day life, how they interact with him, and what their styles and tastes are, I guess, which is obviously a big thing of Animal Crossing. But then he carries on to say, even though it's something small and dumb, it makes me love a ton of the characters, and it makes me feel, and it makes it feel more real. It really just makes every villager I meet more meaningful, and eventually, whether they're gone or not, I still remember them as a great friend for a freaking annoying arsehole. Which obviously it's understandable, because we all kind of have our experiences. Going back to what I just said, we all do project a kind of own little personalities onto you know, the villagers that move in and out of our towns. So we have our favourites, we have our least favourites, we have ones that we just outright hate. You know, it is what it is. But yeah, then he carries on to say, I used to use the game a ton to forget about real life because I was very depressed those days. One memory that is still super memorable is Kiki, the villager, asking me, how much do you like yourself? No matter what, I always selected the lowest option available. I always told myself there will never be a day where I choose the moderate or the good option as an option. And even though I studied every single thing in Wild World, I always answered that question honestly. The day came where Caroline moved in, and she asked me the same question. Months have passed. My depression wasn't as big, and my self-esteem grew. And it was the very first time I answered, "I love myself." And yeah, it's a very, very heavy comment. Obviously, I had trouble reading it, but yeah, it's very heavy. Something like that coming from someone I know, having known for like I think just over a year, and I've not really seen that side of them. It's a very touching thing. Obviously, a lot of people might find it a little corny, might not understand where this person's coming from, but it is very emotional. It is very touching to me, and obviously some people who might know him who might be watching this video. But yeah, I can relate to that a lot. Oftentimes especially if you're like new to Animal Crossing, a lot of the times once you're older you kind of give the animals the option that you would want to give them, or just the kind of option you feel like they'd want to hear. But obviously when you're a kid growing up playing the game, you kind of give the you tend to be more, kids are more unfiltered and kind of honest, so I can understand why he kind of gave the honest answer of, okay, I don't really love myself. And then one day when the depression had kind of gone away for him, he kind of answered honestly and said, yes, I do love myself. And it is very, you know, it's very touching, and again very jarring for me, but hopefully a lot of people can relate to that, because I sure can. And yeah, I'm just going to share some of my own experiences now with you guys. So as for my personal experience, around about the age range of like 7 to 9, maybe 10, I was basically in a weird living arrangement with my family and my aunt's family, and it was just two, like, you know, decent sized families just kind of mushed together, and it was a fucking horrible living arrangement, I'll be completely honest. It was a fairly decent sized house, but we shouldn't really have been living in that situation. Why that came about, I have no idea to this very day, but it is what it is, I guess. But around that time, it just it started off alright, but then it kind of devolved to where both of our families were just kind of always in a squabble, always like arguing. We ended up hating each other by the end, and yeah, it's not really recovered since. But you know, that's for a multitude of other reasons which I won't go into. But also around that time, I was in a very new environment. I was I moved into a school where there are a lot more people of different backgrounds and different beliefs and religions and stuff like that. And I'd lived in a fairly religious community to begin with, or prior to that rather. And I never really identified with that too much. I didn't understand it. I just kind of took it for what it was and just kind of, you know, acted as if I actually gave a shit. And then I didn't really know what to do with myself when I had a few like-minded people around me. And by the end of things, when it was all said and done, immediately I was kind of outcast, but by the end I had a couple friends, but not a lot. And it was very it was very weird for me, because by the end I just kind of again, I had very few friends, and I just kind of become that annoying class clown that kind of wasn't really even funny to begin with. And it kind of took its toll on me. And around that time I didn't really have any good memories, but I've kind of blocked out a lot of that memories. It wasn't very traumatic or anything, you know. It wasn't super bad, but well, I mean, I guess it was bad, but like, it wasn't necessarily, you know, there's nothing traumatic about it. It's just really shit. So I kind of block a lot of those memories out, and anytime I think back to that period of my life, the only real positive memories I really have is just me sitting in the attic playing games like Animal Crossing Wild World, Mario Kart DS, and Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Blue Rescue Team. Specifically Animal Crossing, because I always liked life simulation games, but I'd never really been invested in one as much as I had that one. And once I kind of like figured out how to kind of go about doing stuff and what was the optimal way, I was always sucked into the game. Obviously I mean, because of one reason or another, I never really got to play it whenever I wanted to, but anytime I did play it, I really cherished the time, because it was just something I could kind of like zone out and like play for a couple hours and just have a really good time. And yeah, it really helped me through that period, and I sporadically played Animal Crossing Wild World again through the next few following years, and it really did help me out a lot. So yeah. And then for like a more recent version of the events, or like, I guess the more recent time, a more recent time when Animal Crossing helped me out was around the time of around the age of like 13, 14, 15 years old. I just got like a 2DS or a 3DS, and I'd got an Animal Crossing New Leaf, and I picked the game up. I was a bit, you know, iffy on like the new additions and, you know, stuff like that. It grew on me by the end, but like at the time I was in a high school again. I'd moved back to a more religious community, so I didn't really gel with a lot of people. I met a lot of great people in that school though, but yeah, obviously it was high school time. It was like kind of you know, I was kind of at a loss, and I didn't really know what to do in my life, but I always kind of, again, found comfort in playing Animal Crossing New Leaf, kind of zoning out, you know, and it was a little more, New Leaf was a little more immersive than Wild World, even though I was always immersed in Wild World growing up. New Leaf, like, by that time I had a little less tolerance for games that are a little lacking in terms of, you know, features or, you know, certain aspects. I'd become a little more critical, because, you know, as you grow older, you start to become more critical of things. But by that point, I'd kind of I kind of grew a disdain for Wild World a little. It got a little boring for me. But obviously New Leaf, well, maybe not a disdain, but you get the idea. And then New Leaf came about. I played New Leaf, and it gave me a little more to like kind of go for. Obviously public works projects, you know, money to like put the ordinances into effect, you know, just all sorts of other stuff like that, bigger house upgrades, a lot more things to buy. It's just I could sink a lot more hours into it, and it just made me very happy. And even recently, obviously I did the New Leaf review, which I'll probably link again by the end, at the end of the video, or maybe now, or whatever. But yeah, New Leaf really helped me out a lot, and to this day I can still enjoy New Leaf and Wild World a lot, for even for what they are. A lot of people are Wild World naysayers, but I still have again, maybe it's just nostalgia, because it has a special place in my heart, but I do still love Wild World a lot. I still love New Leaf a lot, and yeah, I feel like I owe a big debt of gratitude towards the Animal Crossing franchise, because of what it did for me during that time period. As I mentioned prior while reading those stories, anxiety and depression can be aided with Animal Crossing in a way not many other games can really achieve, I guess. What you make about Animal Crossing and what you love about Animal Crossing is defined solely by your experiences in life and your experiences with the franchise. And you probably sit out there like, no shit, that pretty much goes without saying. If you play any game or consume any media for that matter, your overall experience as well as your enjoyment would help define it. But I feel it's a slightly different beast with Animal Crossing in all honesty. The game is so laid back and stripped down, yet somehow so full, you can't really help but immerse yourself and forget about all of your problems, whether it be for half an hour or 3 hours. You can just zone out and enjoy just hanging out doing chores and odd jobs. I could go much deeper, but I don't really feel there's a need, because my experiences, as well as your guys' experiences, my friends, my viewers, my subscribers, it just really helps sell my point anyway, so there's not really any need. Animal Crossing is a very special franchise to me, and like I just said, I've had very many experiences, both good and bad, involving the franchise, and as of recent it seemed like I'm kind of on the fast track to having many more good experiences over the bad ones. Not with just in terms of making videos about Animal Crossing, but experiences with you guys, my friends and viewers, and possibly even a partner in the not so distant future. So hopefully the future games like New Horizons and any other future entries on future Nintendo consoles can give me as good memories as it has done in the past and has done for a lot of you guys. So yeah, hopefully my love for Animal Crossing will never die out, and it will only get stronger from here. But anyway guys, sorry for this slightly sappy video. I kind of wanted to try something a little new, a little, you know, out of left field, you know, kind of just change things up a bit and kind of have a little bit of a, not really a filler video, because I feel like this is anything but a filler video, but something with something to just kind of fill time until my next review or whatever, or maybe the next rant, because I haven't really found a topic to rant about yet. Or yeah, gaming's just been a little boringly good, let's just say, which is definitely isn't a bad thing, but it is if you make rants on YouTube. But yeah, regardless, if you did enjoy the video, please do feel free to leave a like, subscribe, share, all of that good stuff. It just helps me get that one step closer to being able to do this as a job, which is ultimately what I want. Like I said, I do have my next review coming, hopefully in like a couple weeks or something. I'm going to try and, like, you know, get everything done in time, but if not, it is what it is. Hopefully I'll try and get this video out as soon as possible, and yeah, get the review out as soon as possible, rather I should say. But yeah, again, if you did enjoy, subscribe, share, all of that good stuff. Does help me out a lot. The second channel, I am slowly working on a backlog of videos, so I am going to make a new second channel. So if you're interested in music, stay tuned for that. And yeah, I've been XYZ Cruncher. Stay cool, stay safe, stay crunchy. I love you all, and peace.